Hello, Dave Hill coming at you with the single string guitar lessons part 2. This is lesson number 9. Thank you for downloading the lessons and studying along with me. It's a pleasure to teach you all, and I hope you're having fun with the lessons. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about technique in this lesson today. We're going to talk about specifically ways to acquire technique and ways to get warmed up when you're going to practice, or when, let's say, you're going to get ready to play a gig or something like that. Okay, so a lot of times what it comes down to is getting your hands synchronized and locked together, right? And there's a variety of things that you can do to get this to happen with your playing. Some people can just pick up their guitar and play great right away without having to warm up. For a lot of other people, you have to warm up your hands to get everything kind of feeling good and kind of coordinated. So we're going to give you some techniques today in this lesson to show you how to do that. Okay? So I want you to take a look at something that I've got on the board here. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to work on technique associated with our right hand today, and specifically 16th note attacks. Okay? So what I mean by 16th note attacks is simply 4 attacks per beat. So in this case, if I were playing 16 notes against this quarter note that you can hear with my foot, it would be like this. And all I want you to concentrate on is playing with a good, strong, synchronized right hand. We're not even going to be playing a lot of scales in this exercise, just simply right hand picking. Down, up, alternate picking. Okay? Now that might not seem like a big deal right there, but we're going to move that around through some progression so it sounds more musical. But what I really want you to focus on is making sure that your right hand is efficient in its technique. I don't want you to be picking too wide, or I don't want you to be picking too much with your internal movement of your fingers like this. I want you to basically do it from your wrist. Just a little bit from your wrist, and ever so slightly, maybe a little bit with your finger, but not like this. Okay? So try to make sure that this is what's going on. And you also might put a little bit of an accent on the downbeat of every group of 4. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. Now in terms of your right hand posture, you can keep your fingers open like this, or you can keep them closed. Either way is fine. I'm sure people, prefer different ways of holding their hand, but I prefer to kind of keep it sort of loose. And that's the most comfortable for me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play. I'm going to refer to these numbers as you can see on the board here. Okay? And what this is going to do, this is going to give us a little bit of a melody to play through these 16th note exercises. So if I say number 1, for example, on my progression, you're just simply going to play the C note in 16th notes. Now if I said to go to number 2, you play the E flat. Now, I'm assuming that you're going to know where E flat is in this position. In this case, I'm playing right here in 3rd position. Of course, if you played the C here in the 8th position, then the E flat would be right here. But let's assume that we're talking about the 3rd position here. So that means E flat's the 4th fret of the B string. So it's going to be, if I said number 2, it'd be a number right there on the E flat. If I said number 3, it'd go up to the G right there. Okay, and I might use them in order. I might say 1, and I might say 2, back to 1, and I might say 3 here. I might say 2, 3, and 1. All right, so you're just skipping over strings to do these different notes, but it's going to create melody over our progression. Okay? Now, if you can see number 4 there, number 4 is actually related specifically to a chord. It's actually a triad, and I've got it written out as a 1, 3, 5 of a triad, so it's going to sound like this. Okay, so that'll sound perfect for the G part of our progression. As you can see, the progressions are written right there. Okay, and I've even got some extra information on the other board here. You can see you can see up on the top board, I've got some other melodies associated with this warm-up exercise. So you can see in this case, I have 2 notes per bar of the exercise. Okay, so it'll start to make more sense when we hear it with the progression now. Okay, the main thing is when you do this with me here today, you might find that it's not the perfect tempo for you. Maybe you'd like to do it a little slower. Maybe you'd like to do it faster. But when you practice it for yourself, you can find the tempo that suits your purposes and put the progression on a little sequencer or record the chords or something and practice along with it. But I'm going to find a medium tempo here today that will work with us, okay? So let's see what we've got here today on our GarageBand. Let's take that and slow that down just a little bit so everybody can feel comfortable at home. Let's say about 100. Let's see what that feels like. That would mean it's going to sound like this, just with the C note like this. Okay, now let's stop it right there for a minute. Okay, does that feel good for everybody? Okay, it might not seem too fast right now, but when we start to go through the different orders of the notes, you're going to find that skipping over strings might mess you up a little bit. So let's start from the beginning again. I'm going to have to take a second to push this, but we'll get this going. Here we go. 1, 2. Let's start with number 1 first. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, that's not the sound I wanted. Okay, now we know. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's number 1. Keep going on number 1. Let's go to number 2 now, the E flat. Let's go to number 4. Back to 1. Okay, let's go from 1 to 2. 2. Back to 1. Make sure your right hand is relaxed. Back to 4. Back to 1. Let's go from 1 to 3 now. Let's go to 2. 3. Now back to 4. Back to 1. Okay, let's go to 5. Check this out now. Let's just hang here. That sounds pretty good. Back to 4. Back to 5. Now let's go to 6. Back to 5. 6. 4. 5. Back to 1. Put that accent in there. 2. Back to 1. 3. Back to 1. Let's do 1, 2, 3 together. Back to 2. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Back to 4. Here we go. Let's stop right there. Okay, so no matter where you think you're at with your technique, if you play constant 16th notes like that, without taking a break and just keeping your right hand moving that entire time, your hand is going to start to feel at a certain point a little bit more fatigued, right? Because that's not a normal way of playing in any situation for the most part. I mean, that's not a very common thing that you would do. So it stresses your muscles and your tendons in a way that you're probably not accustomed to. So what you want to do is you want to take a break from doing that kind of thing when you first start working on these kind of exercises, okay? And you might find that you can do it for a while at a certain speed. Maybe you feel pretty comfortable or confident at a certain speed, but you start to wear out faster than you would think. So what you want to do is you bring the tempo down and you try to build up endurance by playing it slower with good technique and then eventually building up the speed. Because it's not about trying to do this exercise really fast necessarily. It's about trying to do it with precision execution of your technique and consistency to your technique. You know, it doesn't do you any good to be able to play that way for like 2 minutes and wear out. Okay? So you're trying to make it last and you're trying to make it sound consistent. So let's give our hands a little bit of a break now. And let's bring up the tempo a little bit and let's just see if we can take it up, let's say 5 notches to 105. Okay, let's see where we're at there. In fact, I'm going to ask my assistant if he could actually push the button on my computer. Could you do that? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's good enough. Thank you. That's number 1 to number 2. A little faster, but not too fast. 4. Here's number 3. Start on the 3 to the 1. Let's go back and forth double time. 5. Next one. It's number 6. 4. 6. Back to 3. 1. 3 and 1 together. 2. 1. 2. 1. 4. 1. How about 1, 3, 2? Okay, so that was 5 BPMs, or beats per minute, faster than the last time. You might have felt actually more comfortable because we've just been doing it for a few minutes, so you were kind of more warmed up. Okay, so that's a good thing to be able to do, to get your right hand going. It's not too much to do with your left hand because your left hand, for the most part, is just fingering single notes. But that's okay. We're going to do some left hand exercises in some other parts of our video. So right now, I want you to work on that and try to get creative with how you do it. I mean, you can hear the progression that we're playing here. You can see it's just in the key of C minor. So you can pretty much just about play anything in C minor and just sustain the notes by playing one note at a time. You'll find, too, in other warm-up exercises, if you do lower strings, they have a different kind of feel because they're lower and they have a different kind of intention. Like, for example, if I did this again and I started on C here and I did it up here, it's easier on the higher strings because there's a little bit less mass to move. So you'll find you want to mix them up. So I'm going to go back and forth between octaves. C, number 1, up an octave. And I'm going to skip octaves. That was tricky. Number 2 octave. G. Number 3. Skip. Number 4. Down an octave. Number 5. Up an octave. Down an octave. Up an octave. 4 down an octave. Up an octave. Okay, so there you go. There's another way of doing it, using the string skipping of octaves to help you work out your technique. And you can clearly feel that when you're playing right here, the tension difference between this string and this string is noticeable. And the velocity that it takes to hit this string versus this string changes as you cross back and forth between them. So you have to get accustomed to doing that. And even going back and forth constantly is another challenge, just with your string skipping. Okay, so there you have it. That was a great warm-up exercise, a good practice exercise to get your right-hand technique really happening. And that's only the tip of the iceberg of the kind of things that you can practice and the way you can get creative with those exercises. So try to have fun with it. Make up your own melodies that you can use over this progression. Don't just stop at the ones that I've written there. Get creative and challenge yourself and work on different tempos. And if you'd like, even do these with different subdivisions. I'm doing 16 notes right there, but you can try triplets, 16-note triplets, eighth notes, all different kinds of subdivisions against the quarter note. Okay, so I'll see you on the next lesson, and work out hard this week, and I'll see you soon. Dave Hill signing off.